Hello everybody and welcome back for another video. Today we're going to be talking post-apocalypto. I am of the belief that there was an Armageddon type event in the first millennium, and it's responsible for a lot of empires coming to an end. And I also believe it might have changed the conditions in certain areas and created present day wetlands that we have in certain areas. And I'm going to be talking about two of these locations where they're present day wetlands, and we're going to try and tie it all together. And the first location is the Sunderbans. Now, the Sunderbans, it spans two countries, present day India and Bangladesh, and it's considered a national park, but it spans a pretty large area. And this is just a satellite image. And it's primarily known for two things. One is the endangered species of tigers, as well as the world's largest mangrove forest. In addition to that, what you will find throughout this region is a large amount of sedimentation, almost like a muck, which I've seen in several other places as well. And we'll touch on this later, but an interesting area. But recently, I believe in 2015, they have been finding traces of an unknown group of people, and they believe they might have been dated to the first millennium as well. So the headline of this article is just talking about how this forest find could rewrite long lost Bangladesh history. So deep within the Sunderbans mangrove forest, they're finding these traces of ancient human settlements. So just all kinds of artifacts, including bricks, potsherds, all this type of pottery. And it's all thanks to a fisherman. But before I get to that fisherman, just a quick excerpt from this article. Due to the remoteness of the forests of the southern region of Bangladesh, the history of the Sunderbans is quite unknown. And like I said, it's all thanks to a fisherman who is local to the area, and he's been collecting thousands of artifacts over the years. But in 2015, he was successful in contacting an archaeologist to come down and take a look at some of these sites, and it's been continuing on from there. But I think he's got over somewhere between 10 and 15,000 artifacts at this point. But just another excerpt from a video I saw talking about this fisherman's discovery, how this new finding will be of much use in refuting the claim of the British to have written the history of the region in all its accuracy. So it's going to be a challenge to the narrative, but I just wanted to mention one more article, and it just says how the existence, they found several sites so far, I believe like over 5 sites. They're finding all these bricks, these portions of structures, and the existence of these ruins was considered almost improbable because the land is deltaic and alluvial with a swampy land surface. Now, I think that the conditions in this area, and this is speculative, but I've been speculating there's been a apocalyptic event in the first millennium, and I think it actually caused a lot of places to be buried and a lot of empires to come to an end. But I think it also in some places creates these swamp-like conditions. So they're finding these interesting looking bricks, and right now they're associating these settlements with this particular dynasty, and it's from the first millennium. And why I find that interesting is because, and I'm just going to show you one more photo of these bricks that were buried, and because of soil erosion, they're starting to find all this. And I just wanted to also mention one of the archaeologists who's been looking into this is quoted as saying, "It is a matter of mystery how the civilization suddenly disappeared." I think it was because of this worldwide event. But getting back to this dynasty that stretched into the Sunderbans. So you have like a lot of these sites completely buried and lost to history. And not too far away, in central India, there was this other dynasty, which I'm not going to try and pronounce, but it also dates to the first millennium. And portions of this dynasty were buried, lost to history. What looked like hills turned out to be like these palace complex complexes. I've just seen this before, like a lot of empires are buried and came to an end in the first millennium. And of course, Rome itself, we've seen images like this where portions of Rome are buried up to 40 feet deep. And I just came across another find in Italy, in Volterra, Italy. They found an amphitheater, and I think this was from 2015, as I mentioned, and it's in the Tuscany region of Italy. And it's in Volterra. But what's interesting about this place is that, according to an archaeologist quoted here, it's puzzling that no historical account records the existence of such an imposing amphitheater. Okay. And also, much of the amphitheater is under 20 to 32 feet of dirt. So just, I think the reason why things get completely buried, whether it's in India or in Italy, it's because of I think it was a worldwide event. And just one more note about this place is that for nearly 1,000 years, the amphitheater lay forgotten under a field below the town cemetery. So there was a cemetery on top of this place. Just wanted to mention that. So yeah, so that's the first wetland area I wanted to talk about, was in the Sunderbans. The next one is going to be in northwestern Belize, and it's associated with the Maya Empire. So again, another civilization, the Mayan Empire, mysteriously comes to an end in the first millennium, and I think it was because of a worldwide destructive event. But just before we get into that, I just got to mention this gentleman, Diego de Landa, who was a Spanish Franciscan bishop. But this person, he burned almost all the Maya manuscripts, the codices, that would have been useful in deciphering Maya script and knowledge of Maya religion and civilization. So that would have been helpful. And according to a Maya scholar, William Gates, he states that like 99% of what we today know of the Mayas, we know as a result either of what this person, Landa, had told us in the pages. I guess he wrote some books as well that follow, or have learned in the use and study of what he told. So the history of the Maya severely hampered because of this individual, and I just wanted to mention that. But getting back to the wetlands area, it's in, like I said, northwestern Belize. It's referred to as the Birds of Paradise wetlands, and thanks to LiDAR, they're finding all these field complexes, these agricultural areas where they would have fed their populations in the past. But when they go and investigate these places, they're just completely, there's this extreme sedimentation, and the channels are buried, and we're going to see some pictures here. But the Maya, they did engage in this raised field farming, which you can see here. But I found a study that was just talking about how you could see the canal here, and this would be these raised fields. But over time, they're just showing you how the sedimentation occurred. So a lot of the channels got filled. And even these raised fields, there's like 6 to 10 feet of sediment on top of those. So I think it's all related. The same sedimentation that we see in India or Italy, it's in the UK as well, and we've seen it now in South America, Central America. It's all over the place. I think it's related to this event. And here's on the left, you have these boots on the ground people surveying, and you're seeing all this muck. And I think what they're trying to show here is the depression with dark soil at left shows the remains of an ancient channel. So yeah, there's all these canals, channels, and the area is now a wetlands area, but I think in the past it might not have been a wetlands area. That's speculative, but definitely all the sedimentation, I think, is a result of this destructive apocalyptic type of event. And they've even found in this Birds of Paradise area, this researcher and PhD student, they were excavating and they found a causeway like 4 to 6 feet deep. And again, a causeway is just like a raised path or a road or railway. It usually has an embankment on either side. So it can be over water, but it can be over land as well. Here's another example of a causeway. But so it's a raised, road or path, and in this particular area, this raised path is buried, 4 to 6 feet. So again, I think it all ties together. But again, that's my speculation. And with LiDAR, they're just finding more and more of this Maya network. So very interesting. And like I have said in other videos, I think that the reason why we have the fall of the Western Roman Empire is because of this destructive event that I'm speculating about. And then at a much later point, I think that we have like this rediscovery of classical texts. Like in the 13 and 1400s, they start finding all these texts that talk about Rome and Greece. So they find all these, or rediscover all these classical texts, and then Joseph Scaliger, he starts putting these pieces back together in a chronology, and then we have a new timeline, and I think it all kind of ties together, and it's just hiding what really happened in the first millennium. But again, that is my speculation. So I think that's about it for today. I just wanted to hit on a couple of those locations, and I think I'll just say thanks to all my patrons for your support. It's always greatly appreciated. And with that, I will sign out. Until next time, take care. Bye.